Late Night Health continues. Our guest is Jane-Bluestein, Dr. Jane-Bluestein, the author of The Perfection Deception. How can striving for perfection be good or bad? How do you know the difference?
Well, my basic premise is that striving for perfection is bad and is harmful and is destructive. Striving for excellence, I actually have a chart in the book that compares the two and how they're different. The main difference is, how do you feel? If you've ever been working on something and you've kind of gotten lost and where did the time go, and you're in that kind of flow state, that would be, for me, striving for excellence rather than focused on the product. If you're focused more on the process, on the learning, on the enjoyment, that, to me, is focusing on excellence, the willingness to do the work. If, however, your sense of well-being depends upon achieving a certain goal, that's where the line gets kind of fuzzy. So if you can't feel safe, if you can't feel worthwhile, if you can't feel lovable, unless you achieve this goal, unless you get down to this weight, unless you can climb that mountain, unless you can make that goal, that's where perfectionism comes in. It's really when we connect our value as a human being with our achievement or appearance rather than the efforts that we're making. Striving for excellence and precision and growth is really what I'm striving for. And that's what I certainly, I didn't sit down and try to write a perfect book. Well, that's not entirely true, but okay, I'm not real good at this. So, okay, my ultimate goal is to write the best book with the highest level of clarity and integrity and accuracy in terms of information that would be readable and accessible to people. I wanted it to sound like I was talking to people. And that means, it's like if my 9th grade English teacher got her hands on it, she's going to see a few things that I know that she's not going to like. But did it achieve its goal? Is it helping people? Apparently, from what the feedback I've been getting, it has been. And nobody has called and said, well, this would have been a good book, but it wasn't perfect. I mean, I haven't gotten that.
Which is good feedback.
That's good feedback, yeah. It helped me. I saw myself in here. I saw some alternatives to the way I was raised. I saw some alternatives to the way I've been living my life.
Are you a recovering perfectionist?
I think, yeah, of course. I think the real question is, how has perfectionism impacted my life? Because one of the things that surprised me, and as I got sucked into the vortex of researching this book, which I thought was going to be a lot easier than it ended up being, is how many different ways perfectionism can show up. Now, I'm at a stage in my life where I'm like going through clothes in my closets, and I'm finally throwing out the stuff from college that I really don't care if I ever get into again. And
you've only been out of college for
40 years. So, I mean, I'm in my 60s, so it's like I really am less concerned with, like, what size my thighs are right now than I was 45, 50 years ago. Where I get hung up, how this plays out for me is a tendency to overcommit. Now, when I was younger, I think having a hard time saying no was more about making a point or proving something. Now it's more like, oh, that sounds like fun, and then I end up committing to more than is reasonable because, which is very different from not being able to say no because you're afraid of rejection or disapproval. So the behavior may look like the same. I'm still saying yes to more stuff than I can actually accomplish because everything sounds like a really cool thing to do. And, oh, yeah, I really want to, sure, I can write a blog in the middle of this research for this book,
Sure.
Or do the, whatever, because they all sound like fun. Before, and this is where, again, where the rubber hits the road for me. Back in the day, it was more like, oh, I better say yes because I'll never get another job if I say no, or this person may not hire me, or this person may not want to be
They
friends.
say that after a movie, finishing filming for a movie, Humphrey Bogart would find a restaurant on Sunset Boulevard and drink himself for days because he was convinced that the studios now knew he could not act and they would never hire him again.
Wow. I've heard there's a quote in the book by Maya Angelou who said pretty much the same thing. You know, she had finished her 11th book, and it's like, okay, now they're going to find out.
I can't write.
Yeah, it's like they're going to find out I'm a fraud. And Rachel Maddow has been, a lot of very famous and very, very accomplished people have that sense of, I'm going to get caught, I'm going to get found out. And that's
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Listen, Jane, thank you very much. The Perfection Deception. Go to latenighthealth.com. There'll be a little article on latenighthealth.com about Jane and possibly her picture, cover of the book, and a link to her website. Jane, thanks a lot. We'll talk soon, okay?
I'll look forward to it, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about tea and how it can make you healthy. Don't go away. More coming up. Late Night Health continues, and join us for lots of information at latenighthealth.com.